How is the Goodwill Excel Center in Baltimore bringing hope to their community? Our guest today is Lisa Rusyniak, and she is the president and CEO of Goodwill Industries for the Chesapeake Inc. in Baltimore. And she has served with the organization for over 25 years and oversees all the different aspects of the organization. And today we're going to discuss their adult education initiative, as well as some of the transformative projects that they have developing, including one that is actually going to create 100% circularity. And so we're really excited to learn more about what they're doing, and hopefully that'll inspire you who is listening, maybe somebody in your community, to do the same kind of thing there. So Lisa, welcome to the Leaders of Transformation. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure. And congratulations on the launch of your new center. That is amazing. I know it's been a number of months now, probably just kind of settling into it. Actually, before we go into it any further, I do want to do a shout out to Shannon at On the Mark Media. I always like to thank those that are supporting the show. And certainly they have sent us some wonderful guests. And so thank you, Shannon, for making this introduction. So, but yeah, let's tell us a little bit more about the Goodwill Excel Center and what you're doing there, what the vision is.
Yeah, so thank you. Goodwill Industries, a lot of people don't know really what our mission is. They know about our stores, they know to donate, but they don't really know where the money goes and what it funds. And what it does is it funds our job training and placement programs. And our mission is to end poverty and help people get back on their feet and gain their independence through employment. And over the years, we track what kind of barriers people are facing when they go out to the job market. And we help people who are, coming out of the prison system, coming off of public assistance, really anybody who's been displaced or needs training. We tend to focus on the hardest to serve populations who've just been disconnected from the job market and need help accessing it. So years ago, we started tracking some of the barriers to employment. And believe it or not, literacy is number one. Not even having a criminal background is, difficult to help people get jobs. But it's really literacy. And so many years before that, the Goodwill in central Indiana, and I should say there are 154 Goodwills across the United States. And we're one of them. We have Baltimore City, metropolitan region, and the Eastern Shore. The Goodwill in Indiana started this center called the Excel Center, and it's really to provide adults with the opportunity to support and earn a high school diploma, begin post-secondary education, and access all the training programs that lead to career pathways in the sectors that the local economy needs that offer employment and middle-skilled jobs. And I say middle-skilled jobs because those are not just entry-level jobs. Those are jobs that require some kind of certification or credential. And that's where we're really seeking to get people into those middle-skilled jobs. Part of what we do to ensure people are successful is that we provide job readiness training. So we teach people kind of the things that we all take for granted: how to get up in the morning, report to work on time, work nicely with your coworkers, how to dress, how to work in teams. So those soft skills, and then they can move on to their skills training, which can be in the building trades. We do a pre-apprenticeship program. We do healthcare for certified nursing assistants and geriatric certified nursing assistants. We have retail management and also pharmacy technician training with CVS drugstores, but we provide technicians for all drugstores and hospitals as well. And we partner with the community college for any additional trainings that we don't provide. And so this Excel Center is really an accelerated program for people who dropped out of high school for whatever reason. And you can be in the Excel Center for up to 2 years to gain those credits. And it's not a GED, it's an actual high school diploma. The GED is a little different. than a high school diploma, because for the GED, it's a series of tests that you have to take. I think there are 7 in total, and you have to sit all in one day for all of those tests. This is more comprehensive, more of what we all probably remember years ago. They're in classes, they're taking, English, math, science, even healthcare classes. So what's really unique about it is we have a drop-in daycare center. So for kids that are under 3, the students can leave their children in the daycare center and then go to school, go to their classes. And then during lunch or during breaks, they can go down and see their children and see how they're doing. So it really is comprehensive in that anybody who's coming to Goodwill that needs, all those services can get all of them, or it could be a menu. They can do the Excel Center and get their diploma, or they can just do training, whichever. But one of the things that we know is that when people have a high school diploma, that the students see about a 39% increase in their wages with a high school diploma versus those without. And so that's really important. Again, another step to get to those middle scale jobs. Last year at the Excel Center, all the Excel Centers across the country, and I think they're now in 8 states, graduated 1,500 students, and 70% of them had an industry certification at the end, or they were working on dual college credits. So it really is a robust program for people who really need a fresh start and want to become independent.
Fantastic. I love that. And how do they find out about this program? Is this through you connecting to other employment agencies, or do they come directly to you?
No, they come directly to us. And so far it has been like the words out there spreading like wildfire. We have 185 students. We can take up to 150 right now. So we are oversubscribed, but that's a good thing. And we also have a waiting list, and that's partly because of the daycare center, the drop-in daycare center. So the demand is there. And like I said, it's really one of those tools that we see that are greatly needed in Baltimore City and frankly around the country. We're seeing lots of Goodwills open Excel centers. So it's really a proven model. Notre Dame comes in and does a comprehensive review of all the outcomes of the program. So it's tried and true and scientifically verified.
I love that. Well, and I think this is really important. That's why I wanted to have you talking about what you're doing, because a lot of times when we give our, donate our items to the Goodwill, we don't really see where it's going. And, it's like, okay, so you're taking these items that we've donated and you're going to put them in your store and you're going to sell it. And then what? And so I've given a lot of items over the years to Goodwill, and I had no idea what was really behind it. So this is great. And what's interesting is that I think you launched like in the fall, so what, October I think it was, and now even just a few months later, by the time this is released, it'll be like what, maybe 6 months later from when you started, and you're already over capacity. And so that just speaks to how important this is and how valuable the community sees it. Now, how do you handle that from your perspective? Because it's like you just opened and you're full.
So we have braided funding in our state. Lots of states are giving funding to the Goodwill directly to run the whole school, and they're getting a per pupil. They're getting per pupil funding. We are not. Our state doesn't operate that way. So we are cobbling money from different sources. We have a federal earmark. We do get some money from our state, not much, not enough. And then of course we, have donations that come in from the public. So at this point, we're braiding the funding to prove the model. And I think once we prove the model to the state, we'll be able to get more funding. And obviously, adult education is on the minds of everyone these days as people navigate this kind of new economy that we're in. If you don't know how to use the computer, I don't know what you would do. But we teach people how to do that and, use the internet and, do job searches and fill out, applications, put a resume together. So we do all those things to prepare people.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, and you may not have these numbers offhand, but how much does it take? How much does it cost to set up one of these centers and then run it ongoing?
It's about $2.5 million a year to run our school. That goes up to 150 students. Technically, we can go up to 300 in a school, and it would just be an incremental cost. It's really funding the teacher salaries and having the space for classrooms. Those are the two biggest expenses for the school.
So I'd love to hear about these social enterprise initiatives that you've got going on. You shared a little bit about it when we talked before, and that is so exciting to see. And then, of course, that's going to help fund the school and the growth of the school and all that, but also giving the students an opportunity to be part of something where they can maybe get jobs, but they can also like learn skills as well. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my neighbor in Goodwill is in Washington and Delaware, and the Baltimore Goodwill came together. The three CEOs, funny, we're all women. We came together during COVID, and literally we said, let's go eat lunch. We were just starting to come out of it and things were starting to reopen. And we were talking about, our trash bills and, the cycle of when something gets donated goes like this. So if it doesn't have any rips, tears, stains, we put it in the store for sale. If it doesn't sell after 3 weeks, we pull it off the floor and we send it to our outlet where we sell everything by the pound. If it doesn't sell in our outlet, then we sell it for salvage. And salvage is like a commodity that the prices go up and down. We don't have any control over it. A lot of our salvage is shipped overseas, and we just don't know where it ends up. We see a lot of the National Geographic pictures where there's tons of donations on the Indian in the Indian Ocean, or you see people in Africa wearing Nike shirts that likely came from a Goodwill. And so we were talking over lunch and we said we have to do something about salvage, because it's the fact that we can't tell the whole circularity story and bothered us. And so we started talking about in our trash, we started talking about what can we do to redirect our trash and repurpose our salvage. And so we hired a consultant, and we basically went through our salvage and we categorized what the heaviest and bulkiest items were, and they were glass and plastic. And so what we did was we started doing some studying around what do people need broken glass for, because a lot of times when people donate stuff, they're donating it in boxes, and then they could be cracked or broken in the process, and then they're unsaleable. And it costs a lot of money to take that to the landfill, and that's not something that we want to do anyway, not to mention the cost. We learned about a glass crusher machine that will implode glass, and depending on the type of filter you use, you can pulverize it down to sand. And so there's a huge demand for sand for the remanufacture of glass, for building highways, for all the beaches where there's been beach erosion, all kinds of things, sandblasting, and even decorative people use sand in aquariums and all kinds of stuff. So that's the first one. We're going to be taking glass from all three Goodwills that we have that would otherwise go in the trash, and we're going to pulverize it and turn it into sand. And we've already been contacted by one of the states that they want to use it to replenish a beach where, believe it or not, horseshoe crabs reproduce. And so we're saving. So we have all kind of altruistic goals with this project. So this is not confirmed just yet. They're testing our sand to make sure it's okay, but it's not contaminated because it's not, didn't have mayonnaise in it. It's all clean glass, that people use, glasses and all that kind of stuff. And so looks like we're going to be rebuilding a beach in another state to replenish the sand. And that's incredible. And so that's going to launch later this year. We're about to get our machine delivered. And then the second business is a plastic shredding business. So all the Tupperware that doesn't sell, all the plastic stuff that we get donated, even stuff like big wheels. Remember big wheels when we were little, hard plastics like that. We can put them into a machine and it will create shavings. And that can be used for the reproduction of something else plastic. So, for example, Home Depot uses shredded plastic to make those buckets that you see in the stores. And there's all kinds of uses to, repurpose shredded plastic because as it melts, you can create something else. Pallets, another example. So there's lots of different ways that we can turn trash into treasure for not only our school, but all of our programs at Goodwill. And lastly, we're starting to talk about textile recycling. And I don't know if you've noticed this, we've been in the stores lately. There's lots of clothing, tennis shoes that is, has a tag on it. This was made from, 1800 plastic bottles or whatever. And even clothing has a lot of, believe it or not, plastic and other kind of textiles with plastic in it. And so, we think that we can ultimately break down our clothing that doesn't sell in the outlets or for salvage, or excuse me, or in the store or in outlets. And we can break it down by whether it's cotton, polyester, a blend, and then there are manufacturers that are now being required, at least in California and potentially New York, and I foresee that there will be a wave across the country that manufacturers of clothing in the United States will have to use a certain portion of recycled material in their manufacturing process. So all these things are doing better for our environment and also going to earn Goodwill revenue that can be used to fund our programs and help even more people in our community get jobs and gain employment.
Yeah, that's fascinating. You think about like all the talk about recycling plastic or recycling whatever the materials, and here you've figured out a quote unquote simple way, but like getting a machine that actually breaks it down or shreds it and use it as something else. That is fascinating, and I'm sure can be also, it's very rewarding. Like you talked about the altruistic motives behind it. Even the people that you're that you're helping to be educated, there's opportunity that is going to come out of that for them as well, and seeing what's possible. So it's this show is all about transformation. We love to explore how people are creating transformation in the world and their communities and the way that they're doing things, and so transforming lives, transforming the way we see ourselves, others in the world around us. And so it kind of really fits right into that. Now, as a leader of this organization, and you've been doing it a long time, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face in running this type of organization, and even getting the funding and getting the support that you need, even though it's like it makes sense, but just because it makes sense doesn't mean it's easy to get the support that you need?
Yeah, I think what keeps me up at night will probably bore most people, but I think cybercrime is a very real threat. That worries me because we have an e-commerce site. I didn't even talk about it, but we have been on a site called shopgoodwill.com for several years, and we're selling items on an auction platform just like eBay. And it's a big business, and for us it was new. It was a big leap for us when we started it. Gosh, it was like 5 years ago now. But cybercrime is a real threat to the organization. We we're a $60 million organization with, 750 employees. So we have to make sure that all of our systems are tight. And then probably the second thing that keeps me up at night is just government regulation. It's, I guess as from a nonprofit standpoint, I guess people don't see us as a business, but we operate just like any other business, any for-profit business. And so we have real challenges, especially with minimum wage that keeps climbing. It makes it very, very difficult to run an operation when, the wages keep going up. And the only way in our business that you can, eradicate that escalating cost is by, selling more stuff or raising prices. And so, we don't want to raise prices because we do provide goods at a reasonable price for people. So our alternative is to open new stores, and that's really expensive. So it's really a trade of, balancing all these environmental threats around us constantly. The economy is, right now doing well, depending on where you sit. The economists say that the consumer is keeping the economy alive, which we have seen in our stores. But inflation also is a huge influence on shopper behavior and donor behavior in particular, because when times get tough, people hang on to their items longer. So the donation supply slows down, and donations are really our lifeblood. Without donations, can't sell stuff, can't earn money for the mission. We have this saying in our office, no money, no mission. So, these factors weigh heavily on a lot of, not just mine, but a lot of CEOs, and trying to balance all of that and be a great employer is just all one big challenge. But, the challenges, get offset by the reward of being in this organization for 27 years, 2 weeks ago, and just, different ideas and different programs that we started to help the community, and seeing our graduates. It's just incredible when you see, a graduate who brings their children to their graduation, their parents, their family members. They come up and get their certificate. It's just the most rewarding thing in the world, truly.
Yeah. So is this with the social enterprise and what you're doing, and obviously what you just talked about, even the families themselves, they get to celebrate and have hope for the future. Is that your legacy, or is there's something that you're still working towards in terms of a future vision, what you want to create?
The Excel Center is my legacy. Oh, it's
Yeah.
probably the proudest moment in my career ever. And that is when I retire someday. I don't know when at this point, but when I retire, that's going to be, what I leave for our community.
Yeah.
It's my baby. I've been working on this for almost 10 years. I had to get legislation passed first in Maryland because there wasn't any vehicle like this. There wasn't an adult high school. There were remedial programs, but remedial programs very different. They don't have class schedules. They're not rigid. They're voluntary, run by volunteers. Our school is a real school. It's an official school now recognized by the state, and we can, proctor Maryland high school exam. And so, I think our future is going to be more Excel centers because our city is in great need. Obviously, the overwhelming enrollment that we've had in the calls and the emails and just social media just has blown up over our school. People not even in our territory want to come. So it's been, quite incredible. And I think, you mentioned something about hope. One of the residual outcomes of opening the school is that we were talking about families is, I don't know about other people. I was raised by a single mom who I watched my mom get up and go to work every day. Hardly ever called in sick. She worked 2 jobs when I was in college. And so you get kind of this work ethic. And when you think about, where you were then, and then where you are now, you know, one of the, I think one of the single biggest factors in anyone's success is having role models that you can look up to. And I think when the graduates of our school, come home from going to class and they're doing their homework, guess what? Their kids are there. They're doing their homework too, and that's setting up a role model. And then we're going to get a job, and the cycle continues. And so we're really helping the whole family while we're doing this. And we had a grandmother and a daughter enroll at the same time. It's just amazing the impact that this school is having.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, it's you're breaking generational patterns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
that's powerful.
Eliminating poverty, that's our goal.
Yeah.
That's our vision for the future. Probably never attainable completely, but we can certainly eradicate a lot by helping people get connected to jobs. And certainly there are lots of opportunities.
Yeah. There's another organization that I got connected with, and they did some study around, okay, so here are all the societal issues, and really it comes down to poverty, right, leads to unemployment, leads to this, and leads to the domestic violence and the mental health and all the things. And so it's part of their focus is on eliminating unemployment for those that want to work. I get it, some don't want to work, and that's different, but for those that do want to work. But then again, like if they don't have the education, what's underneath that issue is they don't have the literacy, like you mentioned in the beginning.
Exactly.
Don't have the skills to get the job so that they can actually make the money to be able to get themselves out of there. So you really are working at the root cause. So yeah, that's awesome.
That's wonderful.
That's awesome. Well, Lisa, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy day to come and talk to us and share a little bit about what you're doing. I do hope that it inspires people, to say, wow, if they can do that, what can we do here? And maybe even pushing for it in their local community and saying, hey, we want one of these Excel centers in our community as well. So your website, so it's Goodwill Ches, so CHES.org.
Right.
That's where they go to get the information on everything, right?
Yes, exactly. And don't forget, they can go on Shop Goodwill /MD. That's our Shop Goodwill site. So there's lots of good stuff on there. Really good stuff. My director of e-commerce, every time there's something really nice, like we get diamond rings, artwork.
Wow.
You just never know what you're going to find at Goodwill, online or in the store.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll have to definitely check that out. All the shoppers out there. I'll be like, diamond rings? Wait, what? That's awesome. Lisa, again, thank you so much for all that you're doing, and thank you to your team as well, and thank you to all our listeners and viewers out there. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope this has inspired you. I always say that leaders of transformation take action. Nothing happens until you actually take action. So, as you're inspired, maybe you're thinking about some ideas, or maybe somebody who could use this kind of service, or maybe you have an organization and you're thinking about, hey, what could we do as a social enterprise to fund our initiative? Whatever those ideas are, don't just put them on a notepad and off in the corner. Do something with them today, because it's when we start to apply what we learn that transformation begins to happen. So I encourage you to do that. We'd love to hear your stories. You can go on leadersoftransformation.com, find us there, reach out to us. Of course, we're all on social as well. And thanks again for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next week on another episode of the Leaders of Transformation. Have a good one.